The Olympus OM-SLR will go down in history as one of the true classics. It was in production for around 3 decades, and over time one came to appreciate the unique beauty of this. It's kind of like these stairs here and the gas lamps, which has been here for over 100 years. And as everything else around it changes, one comes to appreciate the beauty of it all. But what happens when they change it and digitalise the OM? The OM system was an elegant line of cameras that introduced some innovations and a unique style that remained virtually unchanged throughout the years. Since production was ceased, a number of devoted fans have been yearning for an update, and this seems like it, and things have changed. Well, it's a very modern camera now. It's got auto-focusing, and it's got a 5-axis image stabilisation. The only image stabilisation that the old OM series had was a tripod mount. And of course it looks vaguely similar to the old OM film cameras, but that's about it. I mean, this is a micro four thirds camera, and even though this looks like a pentaprism, what's inside is actually an electronic viewfinder. So it is kind of a postmodern take on the OM series. Mind you, one can't help but be a bit disappointed that this isn't an optical viewfinder, a pentaprism or mirror. That would probably mean that it wouldn't be a micro four thirds camera, but that would have instilled a bit more authenticity. As much as one wants this to be as direct a digital interpretation of the OM as possible, one really has to face the reality of it all. Cultural theorist Jean Baudrillard says in his book Simulacra and Simulation how current society has replaced all reality and meaning with symbols and signs. Plenty of things around us pretend to be a faithful copy of an original, and perhaps that is what this OMD is all about. When you first hold this in your hands, you will realise how small this is in comparison to the OM-SLR. It's tiny, it's like an EP3 size camera. This bit on top. Look at that, that's the EP1, not the EP3, but it's essentially the same size body. Look at that. And even on the side, of course there's a little bit on the back because there's a tilty swivelly screen. One nice addition though is that you do have a separate flap for your memory card. Now you've got 2 control dials which you can use for shutter speed and aperture, or exposure comp, depending on what mode you're in. And you've got a rubber boob there, which kind of takes the place of the film advance lever for you to hook your thumb into. But the screen is massive, it takes up a lot of room on the back here. And as you can see, the buttons are kind of just squeezed into the spaces that are left on the back of the camera. It's a bit annoying that they've kind of taken a bit of inspiration from some of the Canon SLRs. The on-off buttons here. Why? Even Canon has changed it now. And buttons have got a kind of a spongy feel to it, like somebody stuck chewing gum or some other kind of sticky liquids in there. But maybe that's because they've weather sealed this camera. Of course, this lens is also weather sealed, so you have to use a weather sealed lens as well. Sorry, look. Alright. That's a lot of water. Oh, I have to use it now, don't I? Buy a Bocalicious t-shirt, use it as a towel. It's like Mario Kart, but with Hong Kong people. Now, one annoying thing is that, because the buttons are quite close to the edge, when you put your hand here, you accidentally press the buttons, so it changes the focus zones. You kind of have to grip it like this. That's a hell of a street camera. I always talk about how I hate using electronic viewfinders, but as this is a modern remake of the OM, and it should be with a viewfinder to frame, I'm going to use it today. And here's a 1.4 million dot EVF, which is not bad, and it looks alright. Probably not the best. Not quite as good as Sony's EVF. Oh yeah, I forgot I hate Sony, don't I? Sony EVF is shit. And it's also got the world's fastest autofocus with a little star at the end with small print somewhere. You know, they used to say that the technology meant that they couldn't go over 12 megapixels for a micro four thirds sensor. But they've done that. It's the same 16 megapixel sensor from the Panasonic GX1X, whatever you want to call it. I'm letting the camera pick the autofocus zone and see how it operates on that. See how quick you are. The autofocus is pretty slick, quick to focus on something, not always the thing you want to focus on, it seems, especially when you rely on it to do the clever stuff. It's got 3D tracking AF, whatever they call it, which makes it sound really good. So the AF system is supposed to be better, and of course they've tried to make it sound either like a movie or Nikon's autofocusing system. Why isn't that focus? Why did that not focus just now? That's rubbish. Let's wait for this dude. It is spiffing how willing it is to focus though. It feels great to use for street shooting. Discreet, quiet and quick, like a ninja's fart. Sometimes it misses the mark, but it works best when you set the focus point and stick to that. Now, going back to that whole 5-axis image stabilization, what does that mean? Well, it means that it does image stabilization for that, a little bit of camp, that, there's another one, that. So that means you can shoot like this. Wing Lee Street, made famous in film. They were going to knock this down, start again, but they've saved it basically. You know, all these old buildings here. Quite a lot of character. But then, you've got these kind of modern remakes. Just bizarre. Just like a new house, a new build house. No meaning to that. One thing is that it does have auto ISO, but the thing is, you can't choose the minimum shutter speed, like the slowest. You can only choose the highest and the standard ISO. The shutter noise is really quiet though. Let's try macro. Oh. See ya. And this is the new Olympus lens. It looks kind of like a lightsaber handle. It's got a fancy little zoom thing here. This is for electronic zoom. That's a standard. Pull it back, bang, and you've got manual zoom, not by wire. Then you've got the macro mode, which you press this button forwards like that. It has a new sensor, a 16 megapixel sensor at that. Noise performance seems pretty good. Even at ISO 6400 you get some quite noise-free images, albeit with the detail smudged to buggery. 12,800 and 25,600. You might as well not bother doing photography and take up watercolour painting instead. So it's also quite speedy in other aspects of the camera as well. It's got 9 FPS maximum continuous burst rate. And that's with a focus and exposure locked. And that's so quiet, silent and deadly, kind of like chlamydia. So I actually really like these two dials. They just fall in the right places, right under your thumb and fingertip. Great. And this one for the Olympus fanboys like Locke. It's going to make him let one off in his pants. There you go. This is actually his lens and adapter. This is the original, one of the original OM lenses, 28mm, so it works out about 56. Kind of a standard, slightly longish standard. Let's go. See how it performs manual focus. Just because it looks like the OM SLRs, it doesn't mean it's as easy to focus manually, and it's not. Sometimes it makes you stick your eye to the EVF to really try and get it right, like you're looking through the peephole at a peep show. The new art filters are garnish really, stuff that you'll probably push aside because it's not to your taste and it gets stuck in between your bloody teeth. The benefit is that you can actually see the effect in your viewfinder. Oh, that looks weird. That's bizarre when you're looking at that and you've got your other eye closed. This is trippy. Well, I love shooting with this camera, but it's not a complete landslide victory. We have the central pier, which replaces something which was not that bad anyway. It was pretty good originally, but now they can make shitloads of money with all those new shops, and they've kind of mimicked an old style building which is not old, and it looks pretty damn awful, to be perfectly honest. It goes to prove that sometimes the Hong Kong government thinks that if it's not broke, let's fix it anyway, let's replace it, knock it down and put something new that's pretty bad. Baudrillard talks about how Simulacrum pretends to be a faithful copy, but it is a copy with no original. The thing with the OMD is that it has been made to be a sly nod to the past. It's an image that reminds one of the classic SLR, a silhouette, and it is just a silhouette, something that shares vaguely the same shape, but with no depth. Well, the thing is, it's still a great camera, and an excellent choice if you're not one who has a deep attachment to what OM means in the world of cameras. Olympus has done well to up the megapixel count and offer a wonderful shooting experience. Mind you, the EP3 is no less a camera for a bit less money. But since this review, I have certainly started yearning for an OM, but not one that ends with a D.